Officials are now warning people to stay away in multiple states. We have emergency situations in Ohio, right on the border of Indiana, so they could potentially be affected by this as well. We have an emergency situation in New Jersey. We have a massive chemical spill and chemical leak, and officials are telling people to stay away. And we also have a giant fire in North Carolina, and officials are warning people right now. So we need to get prepared. These states keep getting hit, and especially Ohio has 3 different incidents right now in a row that happened. 3 massive fires. All right. What are the odds that Ohio keeps getting hit over and over? And officials are warning to stay away because one of these fires is a toxic industrial chemical fire. And coincidence after coincidence keeps happening in this area. So let's dive into what's going on. And real quick, if you want to help the channel out, if you want to support and get the video out, please hit it up down there. It only takes a second and it helps to get the video out to more people so they know about these emergencies that are happening potentially in their area. They could be affected by this and they could not even know. So let's dive into what's happening at Ohio first. We have 3 different big incidents in Ohio. We have a big chemical leak in New Jersey. The EPA is even involved and they're saying to stay away. They're putting up fences, everything. It's very serious. Also, North Carolina is getting prepared for a massive fire. 40,000 acres are being burned and it's spreading right now and it's causing massive smoke plumes as well. We will get into all this in just a second, but let's get into what's happening in Ohio first. You can see here, industrial fire burns local manufacturing business in Mercer County, Ohio. Residents told to stay away. So this was at a manufacturing facility that manufactures automobile parts. And this is critical to our supply chain. Okay, all these factories keep getting taken offline and they are critical components to our supply chain. Every single one of them makes something critical to a business, to a company. They are all depending on these parts to be manufactured, and now it is offline from this massive explosion and fire. And they're saying that it produces toxic chemicals here, and residents need to stay away because this is a toxic industrial fire. How many times have we heard of this in Ohio? The past few months, there's been incident after incident. I reported on just last month a metal manufacturer exploded in Ohio, and it was raining down hot metal in people's yards and on people's cars. In Ohio, there was a Coca-Cola plant that exploded that same exact week, just an hour away from this metal plant that exploded. We keep seeing incidents. We saw East Palestine. All right, I keep giving updates on that, how they're now testing the plants themselves that are growing for dioxins because they think that the plant growth and vegetation itself is absorbing the chemicals and it's getting into everything. The animals are eating the plants now. It's just everywhere, right? So this model is spreading. We are seeing contamination after contamination in major cities. Look at this. This is right outside Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, and it's right on the border of Indiana. So this is affecting a lot of people, this massive chemical explosion, and they're saying it could be seen from miles and miles away. Of course, this massive black chemical cloud, and it's hitting Ohio again. And I was born in Ohio, so it's very sad to see this region. This is farmland, this is Amish land, and it's getting wrecked. And I've even talked about how there are programs from the banks themselves. They've even announced that they want to force the government to take people's land for their investment projects. All right. So this all could be related potentially. And we are seeing 3 events coming out of Ohio. So we have this massive manufacturing explosion. Now we have a massive fire at a greenhouse in Ohio as well. All of these things are critical that are catching on fire. And how do they just spontaneously combust? Are these cyber attacks, especially when they are manufacturing facilities, because they have their infrastructure completely connected to the grid. And we're going to get to New Jersey and North Carolina in just a second, so stay tuned. But these manufacturing facilities, a lot of them are completely automated. A lot of them barely even have any people working in them. And they are controlled and automated through these systems that are connected to the internet. And a lot of them are centralized systems, like all the manufacturers use this same central system to control all of their robotics, all right, or to control their assembly line production, whatever. Okay, they use very similar programs and systems. All the manufacturers do. What if they're being cyber attacked because there are vulnerabilities? And this is what's causing these fires. Okay, they can hit valves, they could hit pressure systems. All these different things are up for grabs when they are connected to the internet and connected to software. All right, so another one, all right, a giant greenhouse fire, and you can see stuff growing in there right now. This is just another attack on our food supply and on our supply chain. All right, we also had another industrial fire in Cleveland, Ohio, all right, at an industrial warehouse. It's saying $75,000 in loss reported, and the cause is under investigation. How are these buildings just spontaneously combusting all the time, all over the place? And they are bad enough that officials are coming out saying, stay away. This is toxic. I've never seen this in my life, this many incidents. And they do happen all the time. But the point is they are getting more extreme. People are not surviving a lot of these explosions at these factories, and they are becoming much more toxic as well. Okay, so another one in Cleveland. Let's get into what's happening in New Jersey, and then we will hit North Carolina. I will give my opinion on what's happening there because it's very suspicious what's going on. But you can see here, New Jersey village told to prepare for evacuations as the EPA deals with mystery chemicals. So this is happening in the small little town of Farmingdale, New Jersey, and it's in Monmouth County. And you can see here a toxic cleanup in a quiet section of New Jersey could soon force residents to flee their homes. Schools and homeowners in parts of Monmouth County have been told to be ready to evacuate at a moment's notice as the EPA crews do cleanup work at a former industrial plant in the village of Farmingdale near the Howell Township border, the NBC New York reported. The former Compounders Inc. chemical plant has long been shut down, but more than 400 rusting abandoned drums remain, and it's not clear how safe it is to move them. For decades, chemicals were mixed for customers on site. In February, local firefighters were dispatched to the site and discovered materials burning inside an old metal structure. They also found the drums and smelled a chemical odor and alerted environmental officials. So this is happening right now, and these sites like this are all over the country. All over the country, these abandoned industrial wastelands. No accountability. This company's been dissolved. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's been sold to someone else. They're gone. They're gone. There's nobody to sue. There's nobody to get, unless it was some kind of personal thing. They went after the individuals, but normally it's just a company thing, and there's nobody even to sue. There's nobody even to go after because these companies don't exist anymore. And this one is so bad that they are preparing evacuation plans for residents. All right. They are literally giving them evacuation plans, the EPA is, and telling them to be ready at a moment's notice because during this cleanup, there could be a giant spill. Right. And some reason there was a fire there too in February. Some reason, just another coincidence, just spontaneously combusted. It's been abandoned for decades, but apparently it just spontaneously combusts in February somehow. All right, just like all these other fires. But you can see here, residents, let me know what you think they are. I have no idea what they are. Let me know what you think they are. Residents given evacuation plan. So it says residents and business owners within a mile of the site were sent a letter on March 30th from the Howell Township Office of Emergency Management warning of potential hazardous materials at the site. Remember I was talking about they could just send you a letter and say your house is no longer suitable to live in. Your house is no longer available. If we need to shut it down. Your house is a toxic wasteland. That is what's going to happen in East Palestine, Ohio. And I was already talking about how this is happening in Florida with these hurricane destroyed houses. They're just saying, you know what? Nobody's allowed to build houses here. We're going to buy out everybody's house and we're going to turn this into a preserve. This is going to happen to potentially houses all over the country where these toxic waste sites exist. They're going to say that they are no longer suitable for living and your well water's poisoned, everything's poisoned in this area. And they're saying schools are here. They're saying thousands of kids of school, like 4,000 kids, I believe they said, is right in this area. That's a big school, 4,000 kids. This is a pretty populated region, all right? It's a rural area, but New Jersey is pretty much densely populated everywhere, even in the rural regions, it's still pretty populated. And they're saying a school of 4,000 kids is right in this region, right? So they could come out and say at any moment, this is toxic. We need to condemn this area or whatever they need to do. The houses in this area are not livable or suitable for living anymore. It says, in addition to the large number of drums found, the letter said authorities also found spilled materials on the ground and open drums as well as solid waste. It says residents at a community meeting on March 21st were told the evacuation plan was created, quote, out of an abundance of caution. There are at least 3 schools and 2 child care centers in the area, according to the April community update. The letter from the Office of Emergency Management said, we estimate the risk of release of any potential hazardous material to be very low. After all the drums are removed from the property, an investigation will be ongoing into what's happening and the impacts of the groundwater, soil, and surface water. And things are so serious here that the EPA has placed 24/7 security on the property and said it has installed a perimeter fence, quote, to ensure there's no illegal trespassing on or around the site. So don't worry, guys. They have it covered. They have cameras on it. They have, right? That's kind of, I mean, I guess it's a good thing to keep people away, but 24-hour security, and it's kind of extreme. What's going on here? It seems like they don't want to have another media blitz like they had in East Palestine, Ohio, because so many people saw what was happening and they went there and filmed it and exposed it and became this huge story. They probably don't want this to become another massive story like in East Palestine, Ohio. So if you are in this region or if you are near any industrial areas, there are probably distribution centers, factories, manufacturers, all these things like this near you, all right? And there are probably abandoned ones near you as well that are just toxic waste dumps that have been abandoned by these companies that no longer exist. They've dissolved over the years, over the decades, and they've just abandoned all of their toxic chemicals there. And these are all over the country. So maybe look into that, see if there's any near you, make sure you are prepared and have an evacuation plan as well. Make sure you have an evacuation plan for any kind of emergency for your home. Where would you go? Where would you bug out to? Do you have a safe place to go if it hits the fan? So you can see here in North Carolina as well, the Croatan National Forest has a massive fire. They're saying it's over 40,000 acres right now, and it's only 15% contained, and it's spreading as we speak. And they are issuing air quality alerts for over 21 counties in eastern North Carolina. All right, so it says the air quality alerts issued a massive North Carolina forest fire sends clouds of smoke and ash over towns. So this circle region is probably even bigger than the circle region, but this is the main hit zone where you're going to see a lot of stuff like this. Look at this picture, right? This is not a cloud. This is smoke in the air, and it is nasty, and people are saying it smells like smoke. Let me know if you're in this region down below. I know there's a lot of people from North Carolina. Beautiful state there. I got engaged in North Carolina. All right, up in the mountains over there. Beautiful over there. But you can see here, let me know. Are you smelling it? Are you seeing the smoke? 20 counties in North Carolina, and this fire is spreading rapidly. So if you are there, you need to be prepared too. And how you can mitigate this is to have HEPA filters on your air, all right? For your air filters, instead of just having a regular filter, which are decent, all right? Have a HEPA filter that will capture all of these particles And you can also have a carbon filter with that to capture a lot of these organic particles as well, like smoke. Carbon filters are really good for filtering out organic compounds like smoke smells and things like that. So that would also help you and keep your indoor air quality high. All right. While it's low outside, at least you could have good air quality inside and it's being filtered. So look into that. They have ones that fit most sizes of air conditioners for your home. And they even have ones if you're in your RV or you have like a wall unit or something like that. They have cloth ones that you can put on it too, right? So there's a lot of different options, a lot of different alternatives. You can even get carbon filters, like stand-up filters, things like this too. So look into all this stuff. It's good to have pure air. And this looks nasty, all right? You do not want to be breathing that in. And look at what happened here, all right? I just wanted to bring this up because I was personally affected by this fire. So I was living in deep south Colorado at the time of this fire. And I was literally a couple miles from the border of New Mexico. So I was heavily affected by this. And there was moments where I was like, is the fire right there? Like, where's the fire? I couldn't even tell where it is sometimes. I'm just like checking my phone to see where it is because the smoke was so heavy in my little village that I couldn't tell. I was like, this fire's right here. I was telling my wife, like, we need to be ready to go. We need to be ready to evacuate. Like, we're going to take this road over here and we're going to throw this stuff in here. Like, we were ready to go because this fire felt very close. All right. It was actually, it was still like an hour away from us, but the smoke was so heavy. And this was the largest fire in New Mexico history. And the Forest Service even admitted that they were responsible for this fire. All right. So weird, strange. And they were doing controlled burns in New Mexico. And they accidentally allowed this fire to escape them, apparently. That's the story, and it caused the largest fire in New Mexico history, and this burned out entire villages, entire neighborhoods of people. Their homes were just gone. They've had a home there for 100 years, 200 years. These villages have been there. Old mining villages, old railroad villages. All right, that's kind of what my town was like a railroad village right on the railroad, and gone. These towns just wiped out, tons of history. And it's one of these places where, do you even rebuild out there? It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like this little small village. There's no resources out there. It's very hard to completely rebuild. And it's just wiping people off their land, right? And we could see a very similar situation in North Carolina with the Croatan National Forest. There are a lot of homes and people in this area, and this fire could spread and be a danger to a lot of people. And the smoke's already spreading to 20 different counties, all right? And just this one thing real quick, one of the ways they start fires, the Forest Service, is with these lasers, all right? They have these high-powered ignition lasers that they use to start these fires, and they use them for controlled burns. Look at this. This is from 1987. This is from the U.S. Forest Service Department's own website, and it's one of these things where it could be anyone. Anyone could start a laser-ignited fire. There are very high-powered laser devices, and anyone can start them, and they could be started from a very far distance. They could be put on drones, and there's really no way to track who did it when it started this way. All right, there's really no evidence for it. It's essentially like starting it with a magnifying glass from the sun, or something like that, with a bottle from the sun. All right, it's a very similar concept. It's not far-fetched at all, and even the Forest Service does this sometimes. And people could potentially be lighting these fires. These high-powered lasers are available to the general public. And it's just another thing. I was thinking, what's causing these fires? Okay, there's cyber attacks potentially, but what if somebody is using these high-powered laser weapons to start fires from a very far distance? All right, this was even happening to pilots a bunch a few years ago. I just remember this, where people were using these high-powered lasers and shining them in the pilot's eyes when they were flying and blinding the pilots. And a lot of them had permanent eye damage from them because some of the lasers were very high-powered. All right, because think about it. A plane is very high up there. It has to be very directed to hit someone in the eyes from that far away. And they cracked down on it, and a bunch of laws were passed. Federal laws were even passed that if you're caught doing this, this is a felony, and it should be. But what if people are using these lasers as well to start these fires? We really don't know, and it's one of these things where it wouldn't leave a lot of evidence. And the evidence it does leave, I'm sure investigators really aren't even used to seeing the evidence, seeing damage from a laser weapon. They're probably not even thinking about it. So it's probably not even on their radar really for a possibility. So make sure you guys are getting prepared. Make sure you have an evacuation route, an evacuation plan, a bug out plan, a bug out bag, all of these things just in case it hits your area. You never know, could be your area next, and you want to be prepared to leave at a moment's notice. Know what's most valuable and what you need to survive for just a few days. All right, even 48 hours to get you out of one of these situations could save your life. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit it up down there if you want to support the channel. Help this video get out to more people so they can be prepared too. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.